Before I actually got outside today, my intention was to talk about various fitness-related topics that I've changed my mind about. But I'm actually on the Georgia Tech campus, and for additional context, Georgia Tech folks, including some people I know, actually graduated this past weekend. So this has caused me to think a lot, and that has caused me to think a lot about my own school experience. And so I've had the thought that if I talk about it a little bit, that might benefit someone. Not quite sure where best to start, so I think I'll just go chronologically. I actually graduated in 2010 when I was only 17, from high school, I mean. So that meant that in starting my college experience, I was a year ahead of everyone, and given a normal trajectory, I could have finished at age 21. But then a couple of different things came calling. One of them was clinical depression, which in retrospect I've probably had for almost a decade, and the other was just really not enjoying the process. And it didn't help that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I have interests all over the map, some related and some not. The result of this was that I spent years in the purgatory of being an undeclared major, not making substantial progress in the direction of any one goal. Interestingly, it was in this period I started my YouTube channel, so while I was having some success on YouTube, more or less nothing was happening academically. This went on for literally years, and in retrospect, it's not clear to me if this was more a function of apathy or cowardice or not knowing what else to do. Then I started coaching in late 2014, and although I was garbage at it initially and didn't apply myself appropriately, it got the ball rolling. I think a clear turning point came around this time last year when I took a class which I really enjoyed and think I could have gotten an A in, and I ended up getting a C largely as a function of me applying myself so much more to coaching than to that course. And I remember having a discussion with the professor at the end of the course, and it was really striking because I think she was genuinely sad that I had not made a better grade. And I remember having a discussion with a friend of mine about this, someone whose opinion I tremendously value and who's extremely academically successful, and his response was, they just don't understand. Initially, I was a bit confused by this, but he went on to say that professors just don't recognize that their students' passions or primary interests may lie somewhere else. And this caused me to really swallow what I had known for years, which was I just didn't care enough about school. I wasn't passionate about it. I probably hadn't been passionate about it for about a decade. And it's very clear to me now, in retrospect, that for years I was just bashing my head against the wall because I thought, oh, you have a marginally high IQ, so you have to go to school. And frankly, and excuse the profanity, that's just bullshit. It's a recipe for a lot of smart people to be deeply unhappy. And finally, around this time last year, after that discussion, I acted on that. I had known it for years, but I finally acted on it and dropped out. And what's fascinating is that once I truly accepted that I didn't have to go to school, but that I could, if I wanted to, for myself, I want to go back. So I think if there's a single point you should really internalize from this discussion, it's that you should live your life. I think we all have characteristics which generally, naturally lead to certain trajectories, but that doesn't mean that's what you have to do. To summarize this discussion in one video, if you're doing what you're doing not because you want to do it or because it moves you towards something you want, but because someone else wants you to do it, stop fucking doing it.